Back here for the start of the second half, about 3 minutes before the start as we kick things off for the third quarter. 49-0. Chandler on top of Brophy as we're getting ready to start the third quarter. That's Chris Cartman. He is with Scout.com, ASUDevils.com, CardinalSource.com, and covers a lot on the recruiting platform in high school for Arizona. My name is Jared Cohen with Sports 360 AZ. And Chris, man, we came in thinking we would see a high-scoring game. We would thinking we were going to see a team score into the 40s, but not at halftime and not with it being a 49-point lead. That kind of shocked us, the way Chandler really came out and just blasted Brophy in that first half.
Well, Chandler's been playing well of late, and Brophy's lost its last two games, but nobody could have envisioned a 49-0 start to this game in the half, or really anything that remotely resembled that. You never want to say that a game's over at halftime, right? But unless Brophy does something just almost as impressive or equally as impressive as Chandler did to start the first half, they're going to be hard-pressed to get back into this game. And but like you said, with this being the end of the regular season, Brophy needs to find something to feel positive about as they go into the postseason play.
Jacob Conover, the sophomore quarterback for Chandler, was lights out, no turnovers, and made some spectacular throws down the field. It wasn't just, dink and dunk type of stuff and letting the great playmakers do things with their feet. He made some big-time throws in that first half, stuff that, quite frankly, we didn't see at the beginning of the season, and we're starting to see as his sophomore season has unfolded.
He showed just a few flashes of that, I would say, earlier on, but that throw that he made for a touchdown on the last score of the half for Chandler to Johnny Johnson, that was a great delivery of the football. Had some pace on it, well located. I like the way that he's either climbed the pocket or been able to extend plays by getting outside of the pocket and still look to throw the football. There's just a natural it factor that he has, that that thing that you can't necessarily describe, but when you see it in quarterbacks. That's the feeling that I get watching Conover, still just a sophomore, as we've talked about on the broadcast.
And with what he has to work with, the amount of weapons he has, he's been spreading it all around. But you know what? We've been talking about those weapons. Conover really hasn't been touched in this game. You got to give a lot of credit to this offensive line. We talked about Caleb Medina a little bit in the first half, the impressive center, the senior. But you also have four other guys, one of which Harold Colbert, who's being recruited at the next level. 5 guys that have just really clicked here in the last few weeks.
Yeah, Colbert has done a really good job, and also Pena at that right tackle spot is only a sophomore. Both of those guys have just been absorbing and collecting any kind of Brophy pass rush on the edge. Josiah Perry's done a good job as a left guard. Tristan Real, outside of a one hold, has had a solid game. These guys have dominated at the point of attack, as would be expected in such a lopsided score.
Brophy, on the other hand, they just came out slower than Chandler, and they were never really able to get up above water.
Slower than molasses in January.
That's what I was kind of going for. You did it for me, though. And the thing that's interesting, and you can't really tell if it's affecting their rhythm or if it's just the Chandler defense, but they played 3 different quarterbacks in that first half, 3 of which each played on one of the drives in the first half. And you just kind of have to wonder if it's hard to get into a rhythm when you keep subbing in and out. But it's kind of hard to tell when you're playing a defense that's playing as lights out as Chandler is.
Well, Brophy's had more negative plays than they've had explosive plays. That is a sure sign that things aren't going well for you offensively.
There's a short kick for Cash Peterman. It's received by Eric DeMaria.
It's
probably the best field position of the game so far off the short kick as we start the third quarter.
Pardon me, Jared. That's one of those half-hearted onside kick, like a deeper onside kick where maybe you could get to it or it gets bobbled and then you're able to recover it. I don't think Chandler's advantage in this game, 49-0, they're going to try some things that maybe they might want to pull out of their arsenal in subsequent games in the playoffs perhaps. So this is a good dress rehearsal for some of those things that we may see.
Well, they got Hamilton next week. It's always a big rivalry game, the battle for Arizona Avenue. Hamilton losing at halftime to Perry 17-7. Play action, Matt Ryan, who starts the second half, and he throws behind Matt Kempton, and it's intercepted. Going back the other way are the Chandler Wolves across the 30. Breaks a tackle, sheds another one across the 5. Touchdown, Chandler Wolves, a pick 6. Bryce Jackson, the outside safety for the Chandler Wolves, picks it off, sheds some tacklers, nifty moves, and a touchdown for the Wolves defensively.
That's and you have an injured Brophy player down. Looks like a lower right leg injury. Dangerous throw was man coverage. Ball was behind its intended target, back over the middle of the field. That's usually a dangerous type of a play. It proved to be there. It's hard to imagine things going worse to start the second half than the first half for Brophy, but that's literally what just happened there.
And credit to the Chandler defensive front who saw the ball picked off and created a pathway for Bryce Jackson to return it for 6. And this doesn't look good because it looks like one of the Brophy offensive linemen is down and in significant pain here.
That's unfortunate. These interceptions that get returned tend to be some of the most dangerous plays in football because you get a lot of crackback type blocks or guys who aren't seeing the block as it's approaching them, and guys can very easily be taken off the ground. You can get hit low, all kinds of different opportunities for somebody to get injured, and it looks like that's what happened here.
And it looks like they brought on 2 of his teammates to help him off the field here once they're prepared to do so. So this night for Brophy continues to get more difficult, trailing 55-0 on the first play from scrimmage to start the second half on offense. A pick 6 from Bryce Jackson, the junior.
And on a play just like this, Jared, that I was doing earlier in the season between Red Mountain and Basha, there was a player who was pretty seriously injured, and they actually had about a 25-30 minute delay to bring an ambulance on the field. This doesn't require that, but that does look like a serious leg injury to one of.
And it looks like right guard John Blake
is
the one that is down and having to be helped off the field by a couple of his teammates.
Hate to see that.
Nah, especially not for a senior in his last regular season game before the playoffs. Your heart goes out to John Blake. You hope it is not too serious. So now Cash Peterman will come in for the extra point, which will make it 56-0 if converted. And I'm just at a loss of words, Chris. I mean,
you didn't misspeak there, right? That is the score.
Yes.
The kick is up and through. 56-0 Chandler on top of Brophy. And it was just a few weeks ago where I was touting Brophy as one of the top teams in the state, and I don't think I was being over ambitious because they were playing some excellent football. Caught them in person, had some excellent wins, had some gutsy wins.
Well, Richard Obert, the longtime Arizona Republic preps writer, picked Brophy Prep to win this game.
Is that right?
Yeah, so
Oh, no.
that's not going well for him. He's going to see this score and maybe have to reconsider where that went wrong.
It's a good thing he tells high school stories and isn't a high school prognosticator.
There you go.
He's not was the John Ryan, the Matthew
No.
McConaughey.
He called it his upset special of the week, I believe. I'm not exaggerating.
Oh, Coach Iguano put that right up top of the locker room.
I'm sure he
Upset
did.
Special.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
That's some good stuff right there. So Cash Peterman will kick it away. And it looks like down on the sideline we've got TJ Green. If you remember earlier in the first half, he had kind of got wrapped up around the feet that led him to coming up short of a touchdown. Well, he's on the trainer table right now with some ice around his ankle. It doesn't look like he's going to return. And Nicholson cuts it back upfield for Brophy. Another good return for him. If there's one thing that Brophy has done a solid job of here in this game, it has been on special team kick returns because they've got a playmaker in Nico Nicholson.
And yet, at the same time, they need a lot more to get going for them in this game.
And it also might be it for the night for Jacob Conover, as Billy Bolger, the junior, is right down here below us warming up. So Conover's night is most likely done.
Yeah, I would imagine
And
so.
he didn't even take a snap here in the second half. Ryan's going to hand it off to, and there's a nice run right there for Velez, Ross Velez, with probably his longest run of the game of about 15.
Pretty sure that was the first run of the game that resulted in a first down for Brophy.
No question.
Just one of a number of emblems of how significant the struggle has been for the Broncos tonight.
Well, here's what Brophy has going. Next week they're off while most teams are playing. So they essentially have a bye week before the playoffs. It's an opportunity to get healthy as the ball's handed off to Velez once again as he crosses midfield.
That's okay. A couple yards on a first down play. I think we're going to see a lot of running the football here in the second half. There's going to be, just burning a lot of clock by both teams, trying to get out of here without too many injuries. Hopefully no injuries.
We've already seen one go down here in this half. Caleb Moore in at quarterback. 2nd and 7 for Brophy. Hamilton just scored, so it's now 17-14 Perry, and the reason why we keep score checking there is there's a play action from Moore, rolls out to his left. He's going to air this one out to Kempton, overthrown and incomplete. Getting back to that game, though, if Hamilton falls to Perry and Chandler looks like they're going to come away with the win tonight, Chandler will wrap up their region and will be region section champs.
Yeah, I think that's looking like it's probably going to happen tonight.
But Hamilton has pulled within 3 of Perry in the third quarter. So we'll keep tabs on that one. You could also stream that one on Sports 360 AZ if you feel like jumping back and forth to them and to us. 3rd and 7 for Brophy. Matt Ryan back in. He's got Nicholson and Brooks split out. Velez in motion. There's going to be a screen. That's to DeMaria again. Blockers in front of him. That's going to be enough for a first down. They've run that fullback screen twice now, and both times it's resulted in first downs.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a misdirection type screen, the way that they're executing it. Got a numbers advantage with the blockers out in front. It's been probably their best play.
Down to the 38 of Chandler with just under 9 minutes left. And a timeout's going to be called for Brophy on 1st and 10 from the 38, and it was getting close to being another delay of game on a first down. Let's talk about the recruiting side of this Chandler Wolves team a little bit, Chris. You know, you cover the Pac-12 quite a bit, and Oregon State has come in and done a really nice job with this Chandler team. Obviously, N'Keal Harry went over to ASU along with Chase Lucas, but outside of that, Hamilcar Rashed, Mason Moran, Colby Taylor, and TJ Green, who are on the sidelines here tonight. Daryl Garrettson, the former Chandler quarterback, is over there now.
Loved him in high school. I don't mean to interrupt you, Jared, but there was a number of Pac-12 schools that inquired about Daryl Garrettson, and I felt like he needed to get offers at that level, and he ended up not.
He went to Utah State.
Correct.
And then Utah State staff went over to Oregon State, and now he has been making big plays for Oregon State as he transferred to go with his coaching staff.
Right. Well, Daryl Garrettson's dad is a offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. He had a phenomenal working knowledge of offense, even as a high school player, and I knew that was going to serve him well.
So first down and 10 for Brophy from the Chandler 38. Moore back to throw, feeling the pressure, does a good job. Oh, he's taken down. And is a big play right there from the big fella. Looks like, was it Dietrich Gamage?
Yeah, Dietrich Gamage replacing Manoa at that nose guard position. That's another big body right there.
Huge. Only a junior.
Number 69 for the Wolves, Dominic Mata.
So, but you look at what Oregon State has been able to come in and do with the top, really talent pool in Arizona the last 2 or 3 years. Most of them have come here from out of Chandler. Chandler and Mountain Point have probably shoved out the most talent at the next level from one individual program. So there's a ball on a little out route just shy of the 30-yard line. Looks like that was complete to Jonathan Waters, the junior, making his first catch of the game.
Yeah, so you have more players on this Chandler team that are Pac-12 level players. We talked earlier about Johnny Johnson being committed to UNLV, right? But
yep.
I think he's someone who could easily play at the Pac-12 level, and I've been a little bit surprised that he hasn't received higher end offers, and it looks like there's a possibility of that might maybe happening.
Oh, fumble on the play. It looks like there was a
ball just jumped right out of the hands of the running back as soon as he had it. Maybe never had it at all. Squirted right out, flew about 5 yards forward right into the hands of one of Chandler's defensive players.
They credit Derek Williams with the fumble recovery, the senior safety, and the Wolves go back on offense, which we should expect to see a lot of the twos coming out here.
But so TJ Green, right?
Yep, TJ Green committed to Oregon State.
I think it's
Colby Taylor too committed to Oregon State.
Correct.
Hasn't played all season because of his knee.
Colby Taylor actually was probably their most productive receiver last year before he had that injury. Both of these guys are quicker than fast guys. They're undersized, probably about 5'9", 5'10". Very elusive in space, what I like to call underneath leverage type receivers, guys that you can motion around a lot, and you can bring them into the backfield and move them out.
Kind of like what Nate Phillips has done at U of A.
Exactly like Nate Phillips. Exactly that type of a player. You can use them on jet sweeps and things of that nature. They usually tend to function really well in a lot of the quick run replacement type RPO stuff.
So a bad snap right there. Bolger kind of hauls it in and gets close to the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down and long for Chandler.
So yeah, I think Oregon State was smart to scoop those guys up. It's not like Oregon has a wealth of talent in that state. A lot of the kids that are in Washington are probably going to try to go to the Washington and Washington State, Oregon schools, and so maybe you're going to have a hard time plucking the best ones out of there. So you have to find good markets where you can access talent, and that's really more LA, the Bay Area, Phoenix, and then some of the Mountain West states.
And they've done a great job here in particular. There's a screen that's going to be short of the first down, so the Wolves will punt as Cash Peterman will come out to punt this one away. 5.5 minutes left here in the third quarter. 56-0. Wolves have been all over Brophy. Brophy, on the other hand, has some guys playing in the Pac-12 right now, too. Isaiah Oliver, who you saw up in Boulder last week, who was probably one of the better all-around athletes in Arizona 2 years ago, both on the track as well on the football field. And then Connor Murphy from this Brophy team is now playing over at USC. I know you caught him this season, too.
Yeah, Oliver's he's playing on nickel downs for Colorado. They moved Chidobe Awuzie, who's probably their best defensive player, from cornerback to nickel on third downs, and then they bring in the extra defensive back, and he plays on the perimeter, and he's doing a pretty good job. They're going to lose a couple of those guys after the season because it's a very senior-heavy type of a defense in Colorado. So I think he's doing a good job of adjusting to playing at that level, and is probably going to be a starter for a couple of years at least there. And obviously Trent Murphy is a guy who's going. Connor Murphy, I'm sorry.
Trent Murphy will be here soon playing with the Redskins.
Yeah,
That's coming up in a few weeks.
His brother, right? Connor Murphy is playing behind Porter Gustin, who's a sophomore. He was a 5-star prospect out of Utah. They play that edge contain, pressure, hybrid outside linebacker, rush end position. I was kind of surprised that he didn't redshirt. He saw some action early on in the season, but he only has
special teams, right?
Yeah, he only has maybe a tackle or two. So I think he's going to probably still remain in that 2 deep moving forward, but not in a starting role for the foreseeable future.
Pass complete. As Xavier Junior with the completion right there. Speaking of Isaiah Oliver, he wore the number 26. Junior wears the number 26 now currently. And then you can't forget about Devin Allen, who had his season cut extremely short with that knee injury once again.
Very unfortunate.
After all the momentum from the Olympics.
And it happened on special teams, punt coverage, where he just went down and broke down, and non-contact injury, which so often those ACLs tend to be. Devin Allen is...
You think he plays football ever again?
I think there's a good chance that he doesn't. When you have your second ACL injury, you're going to be worried about that happening again. He obviously has value as a track athlete, especially as young as he is. As long as he comes back clean and healthy, he's already among the top 3 Americans in the hurdles, in the hurdling distances.
And after this year, one of the 5 best in the world.
Correct.
He finished 5th in the 110 hurdles.
Yes. So I don't know. I think that there's a good chance he doesn't play football. And that's speculative. I haven't spoken to their family or anything about it, but I really enjoyed watching them. I think it's unfortunate because Devin Allen's an extremely good route runner. There's a lot of...
And obviously extremely fast in the open field.
Great quick twitch athlete. I mean, so he had a lot going for him. I think he could have made it, but you have to sort of take a cost-benefit analysis at this stage of your football career, given that you've had 2 ACL injuries, and that just makes for a good opportunity to hang it up.
Second and short here for Brophy. Moore's going to hand it off. There's a flag down. And Velez, just nice looking run right there. Here, this Ross Velez, he's the future at the running back position. And we've seen a couple nice runs here in the second half when he's had some space.
Yeah, both of those have been, off tackle type runs, getting the ball into the perimeter. Of course, this one's coming back.
Been that kind of night for Brophy.
Again, Jared, just the number of self-inflicted wounds. It's been unbelievable, and
especially happening on what was a manageable down.
Well, and this isn't.
It was 2nd and 3. Now it's 2nd and 8.
This hasn't been a hallmark of a Scooter Molander type of a team. He's earned a reputation, and deservedly, I believe, for running a really functional assignment sound. Guys execute, and they're just not doing that.
And here's Velez again, who they'll run to the outside, and he gets to about the first down marker. It's going to be close. And I think they're going to give it to him.
The discipline, I think the discipline and guys executing their assignments is going to be what's going to really frustrate him. Because if you're getting false starts and delay game penalties, all these procedural type things, never mind the holdings or interceptions or guys not being able to block and tackle, I mean, that's just going to eat him up.
There's another run to Velez, and he's stuffed
And
after a gain of about 2 there.
I think it's important to say, obviously, at this stage, of the game, Jared. Brophy's still playing some of their better offensive talent, but they're going up against clearly the depth of Chandler defensively. These guys are not their starting players by any stretch.
Just under a minute now here left in the third quarter. 56-0. Brophy trails Chandler. Running out to the right is Ryan, and a nice strike to about the 40-yard line, but a flag is down.
Like that play concept with Ryan. Of course, that's coming back also. So another procedural penalty. You have a guy covered up, he runs into a route. You can't do that. You had 4 receivers flooding with your quarterback rolling out and being able to have multiple options at different levels. That's a very quarterback-friendly type of approach. I like that style of offense with Kelly, and especially against this Chandler team. But then you go ahead and you commit a penalty, which negates the nice play.
So now instead of a 2nd and 8, it's 2nd and 12. Under 30 seconds left here in the third quarter. They're still platooning quarterbacks. Caleb Moore in now. So they've basically gone back and forth.
Not really a fan of that either, for the reason you said before.
And there's a screen. It's a little bit of a low pass. Still picking up a head of steam. Just shy of the first down. And that one gets a big ovation from the fans on the Brophy side as Michael Grindy with the reception.
His whole family's here tonight.
Making his first catch. We've played 3 here from Chandler High. 56-0. Chandler on top of Brophy. We'll take a break and come back with the 4th and final period. Start of the 4th and final quarter here from Chandler High. The Wolves lead the Brophy Broncos 56-0. Jared Cohen alongside me is Chris Cartman. It's 3rd and 2 as we start this 4th quarter. And Matt Ryan's going to air it out on the first play and over the outstretched arms of receiver Donovan Arthur.
Had a chance there. Had a step. Deep post behind the defense. Just a bit overthrown.
Just a little bit over out of the outstretched arms of Arthur. 4th and 2. Brophy will obviously go for it on the Chandler side of the field. Down by 56. Again, no Robert Brooks, no Noah Pittenger for Brophy. 4th and 2 here. There's the handoff. Velez, nice job. Good patience right there from Velez, waiting for the blocks and the holes to develop. Gets to the 40-yard line, and Brophy converts on the 4th and short. So up next, The Battle of Arizona Avenue for the Chandler Wolves. We know Hamilton is in a big battle right now with Perry not far from here. If Perry can hold on and win that game, Chandler will be section champs. As that ball swung out, and a nice collision right there. Velez goes right after.
That's what you want to do there. You deliver the blow.
Right after 28, Devin Shivers.
Defensive player was a little bit too lackadaisical there. Probably learned on that play. You got to attack the ball carrier.
Just from a consumer standpoint of the high school game, if Hamilton can come back and we're looking at the winner of this section coming from the winner of Chandler Hamilton next week, that could be pretty fun. It's already one of the best, if not the best rivalry in Arizona.
That'd be really cool, as long as I don't cover it, because the last two that I've covered have been just unmitigated blowouts.
Yeah, we called that one 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Was that last year?
2 years ago, I think.
And Chandler just...
At Hamilton. Chandler ran over him.
First and 10, Brophy.
This clock is really running fast this half.
Ross Velez done a nice job, though. He's gotten a lot of touches. Ryan back to throw. A lot of time. Trying to throw in the middle of the field. Complete down at the goal line. Just at the 1 yard line. I believe that was Matthew Kempton.
Yep.
And that was the best looking throw of the night for Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Matty Ice showing up here in the fourth quarter.
I like that throw. I've been
was right in the numbers.
Yeah, and I'm saying throw the ball to your tight ends. Take advantage of the physical size mismatch. I like Kempton. That's a Division I football player right there.
And as a quarterback, you throw a strike like that, and then you got to come off the field.
Not a fan of that so much.
Caleb Morin as it's first and goal from the 1. Brophy trying to get on the board for the first time. And he almost, not really sure what happened right there.
I think that he wanted a quick snap quarterback keeper at the 1 yard line.
The ball wasn't snapped?
The ball didn't get snapped, and then he got flustered and didn't know what to do.
And that kind of sums up Brophy tonight on the first play after a big play, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's every time they get something happens after their next first down play, they've
delay a game, penalty, a loss of a yard.
Yeah,
a play like that where it's first and goal from the 1 and you got to blow a timeout because there's miscommunication. It's that kind of sums up the night for the Brophy Broncos.
Now, they're not going to need that timeout in this fourth quarter, but you want
to correct these things. I mean, these are the types of things that when you have a week to think about this one, and the last 3 for that matter,
their quarterback
before you go into the playoffs.
Yes,
this is the type of stuff you don't need to have in the back of your mind going into the playoffs.
The quarterback almost fell over a stationary offensive line, Jared. That nearly happened. Now, I haven't seen that happen either. Much less in a 56-0 football game, right? So you don't want that. You don't want that to happen.
First and goal from the 1. And Velez dives for the pylon, and he's down at the 1. Close, but no cigar for Ross Velez. And it'll be second and goal from the 1.
Just got to get a yard. Just 1 yard. Yeah, just got to get something to happen in here. I'm giving the ball to Ross Velez.
Second and goal from the 1. They give it to Velez, and he piles through for the Brophy touchdown. And the Broncos avoid the shutout. They get on the board for the first time with 8:14 left here in the fourth quarter.
Boom goes the dynamite, Jared.
56-6. And now Trevor Eldine will come in for the extra point.
Don't know if that is a little bit sarcastic of a cheer from the fans or just a strictly genuine 56-6 type of
We did it.
applause.
And the kick is good for Eldine. 8:14 left.
So
56-7. The Wolves on top of the Broncos.
they proved that they're still capable of scoring points this season. It's been demonstrated. Now, that was against the second and maybe third team defenders, but something for them to get going.
And it's just announced here, Perry has opened up a 38-14 lead over Hamilton. And if that stands, the Chandler Wolves will not only come out of here with a victory, but also a section crown.
That's, what is that, 17 unanswered points? Or
Has to be. It was 17-14
20
last
unanswered
week.
points, 21 unanswered points. That's quite an impressive third quarter start there by Perry.
Yeah, Perry's impressive. You know, they had a tough outing, a tough go of it against Chandler. But other than that, they have played spectacular. And, you know, we talked about what Brophy didn't do at the top of the broadcast. How about what Perry did do when Brophy was threatening to score 4 times in the first half and only came up with 10 points? That Brophy defense buckling down. And there's a flag on the kickoff, as it looks like a Brophy player might have gone off sides.
Penalty marker down on that kickoff.
So while we're talking about guys from these two schools that are at the next level, give me your overall assessment of N'Keal Harry and Chase Lucas in their first seasons at ASU. Obviously, Harry's been in the headlines a lot more with the touchdowns and things like that, but overall, both those players in their first year at the next level.
So N'Keal Harry got off to a really great start. He was battling Ellis Jefferson at the X position, primarily working into the boundary. Ended up getting the first team reps about 3-4 weeks into the start of their practices, becoming a starter a week ahead of game week, and then he had a really good start to the season. He was graded out by Pro Football Focus as the top receiver in the Pac-12 through the first 4 games of the season. Had a couple of impressive touchdown grabs. One that was a one-handed catch in the back of the end zone against UTSA. But then things have gotten a little bit tougher for him as they've gotten into some better competition, playing against USC, UCLA, and Colorado. He's been covered a lot more. What I really find impressive about Harry, not only is he every bit of 6'3" and 220 pounds and doesn't look like a freshman wide receiver, but he has a great work ethic. He has the right type of mentality and disposition that a lot of young players don't have the emotional maturity to possess at that stage of their development. So he's someone, I don't remember a freshman player being able to do anything like what N'Keal Harry has done since Derek Hagan, a name that probably a lot of people might know because he's one of the best ASU players, certainly receivers in the last 3 decades, going back to about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, really. So he's done really well, and that's a guy whose future's bright, probably going to be a first round through a third round pick eventually, all league type of a guy. And then with Chase Lucas, you have a player who is redshirting this year, needed to get some additional size on him because he only weighed 155 to 160 pounds when he arrived at ASU, but he's already added about 10, 15 pounds. They're working him on defense. He was primarily an offensive player, a running back at Chandler, but his future is very bright. He's shown that he has more than enough athletic ability for someone who's long and rangy. He's got a chance to even compete for a starting role next year as a redshirt freshman, I believe, in the ASU secondary. So both of those guys are adjusting quite well.
Bryce Perkins, also former Chandler Wolf.
Bad injury.
The injury has really affected him. It's kept him out. He probably could have seen some time at this point with the injuries the quarterback position has faced.
Yeah, there's a good chance that he would have started against Colorado last week because you had Manny Wilkins with a high ankle sprain. The backup, Brady White, suffered a foot injury that's severe when he replaced Manny Wilkins in his first career start against UCLA. But Bryce Perkins is still wearing a neck brace from a neck injury that he sustained in practice about 9 or 10 weeks ago.
And initially, they said it was going to be about 6 to 8 weeks.
2 to 3 month injury is kind of what I had heard, but I think they're being extra cautious with him. 2 to 3 months before he was ever going to really be able to get a chance to get back. That's almost kind of like your whole season when you're a third-string quarterback anyways. You might as well not put any extra stress on rushing back from a neck injury, something like that. So I think they're just being cautious at this point. But yeah, he would have had an opportunity, and instead we've got a glimpse of Dylan Sterling Cole, who's a true freshman, not really ready. And we'll see how that quarterback situation shapes up after this season.
Well, and after this season, you're adding Ryan Kelly to the mix.
Another local product who's a Scout 300 player, a 4-star prospect. He was committed to Oregon earlier in the process, decided to open things up only briefly, kind of knew where he was headed to ASU when he did that. His relationship with Chip Lindsey, the offensive coordinator at ASU, a big factor in that decision.
Aaron Howard on this drive, while we've been talking about former Chandler Wolves, has done a fantastic job in the read option, has done it primarily himself with his legs, and has the Wolves down to the 5-yard line.
Just kind of marched it down, 10 to 15-yard increments. And now they're first and goal at the 5 with under 5 minutes left in the game, trying to put Chandler into the 60-point threshold.
4.5 minutes left. There's a direct snap, running the ball, and he loses the football, and the Brophy Broncos recover it. Looked like Howard on the quarterback keeper got hit, coughed it up. And the Broncos recover it. A guy we've talked about a couple times in this game, Hunter Truman.
Well, you know what? What's good to see there is you still have guys that are competing and playing, trying to make a play. They have some pride. They're trying to not let Chandler get into their end zone again, even though it's first and goal at the 5. I like seeing that.
Play for 60 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's the coach speak for you.
Absolutely. Right? The thing that players always say at the end of their careers, whether that's high school or college, is, man, it went by really fast. You only have so many plays that you get, and you got to try to make the most of it.
And for some of the guys out there tonight being seniors, like Truman, who recovered that fumble.
Yeah.
Now, this is his final regular season football game.
Right.
The next game he plays after this one could be his last.
Absolutely. These guys are starting to sense the end coming because, let's face it, a majority of the seniors on these teams aren't going to be playing football after this game. I mean, after this season.
After this season.
Yes.
Just under 4 minutes left now, 56-7. Brophy trails Chandler. Chandler opened up on a blistering pace, having with 35 unanswered in the first quarter. And there's another inside run. It's going to be just shy of the first down, so it's going to be 3rd and short for Brophy. So it's 3rd and 4, exactly 3 minutes left. And they're going to throw it, and there's a completion. As Bernardo Reyes, the senior, with the completion to Donovan Arthur. And we've seen a couple passes in the vicinity of Donovan Arthur. He's going to be the tight end type player that's going to step in for Mormon and Kempton after this season. He'll be a guy we'll probably call his name quite a bit next year.
Yeah.
As a junior, he's been split out quite a bit, but has the size at 6'2", 170, maybe about 180 to play that tight end position. Flushed out. And that almost intercepted if that ball wasn't thrown behind.
Number 14, Nolan Gonzalez.
That ball wasn't thrown behind Josh Rogers there, the junior linebacker. He probably would have picked that off and taken it for 6.
Never saw the defensive player there in coverage coming over. He was just kind of running for his life, really. It's a dangerous throw.
Two minutes left here on senior night. Some spectacular Chandler Wolves seniors playing their final home games. As there's a handoff, Johnny Johnson, Ryan Johnson, Sam Pepper, TJ Green, Harold Colbert, Caleb Medina.
I think the odds are we'll see a 3rd down run, a 4th down punt, and Chandler either run the ball or take a knee to get this game to its conclusion.
I think this is quite the statement for Chandler here, what they've been able to do here tonight.
Really impressive. I mean,
I think anyone who was sleeping on the Wolves after that tough loss to Mountain Point, as there's a completion and enough for a 1st down.
that ball bounced off the receiver, then it bounced off the defensive back, and then it landed back in the hands of the receiver.
It's been that kind of night for Brophy. It hasn't been pretty.
I don't even really know why you're trying to throw the football really with a minute left, but okay.
Xavier Junior is there.
So they're going to run the clock out here basically in a couple plays.
And
Well,
the officials blow it dead.
Well,
We're going to do that, man.
well, it's much more fitting to have a penalty, actually.
That's also how the night has gone for Brophy.
So what do you think, Jared? Who is the favorite going into the playoffs after we've seen Mountain Point destroy Chandler, and then we've seen Chandler play like this at the end of the season? What do you think? How do you handicap that? 'Cause I know you've seen all these teams play.
Yeah, no, I mean, you still got to give the nod to Mountain Point. The only reason why you'd think that any of these teams, like a Chandler, after a night like tonight, could maybe give them a good shot compared to how they played against them the first time around is Mountain Point's down their starting quarterback and running back.
Yes.
Both of them are out. Noah Grover, the quarterback.
That's why I
and
asked the
running back,
question,
and
because otherwise it doesn't even...
I mean, it didn't affect Mountain Point last week as they only needed to throw 7 total passes against Desert Ridge to come away with a huge victory. And Rashi Hodge, who is a guy that is one of the most under-recruited guys, I think he's got to get his grades up. Once he gets those grades up, you know the offers are going to come. But they just moved him to running back from the linebacker position, and he did nothing but score 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he's a good D1 linebacker
But
prospect.
here's the thing about Mountain Point. They have the best safety tandem in the state, and it's not just because they have one of the best prospects in the state. They also have Kenny Churchwell. But what they do on defense is they can be so much more flexible, improvisational on defense in terms of their blitzing and their coverages, because they could put Isaiah Polomau in the back, and he can cover more ground than anyone can in this entire state.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, he can line up any. He is so smart, so instinctual, out and not to mention extremely talented. I had one coach in 6A. I talked about it this week on our AZ Audibles roundtable. Is that on Sports 360 AZ is, as this game's about to wind down, and I'll get through this quick. The coach told me that he does things on defense that just other teams in the state, quite frankly, can't do.
Yep.
Because of what he brings to the table. So Mountain Point's the team to beat, but man, Chandler sure did give me a nice little statement tonight. As it's the final, 56-7, the Chandler Wolves knock off the Brophy Broncos Brophy down a couple of their top players, but either way, the Wolves came out firing and they never looked back.
35 straight points in the first quarter, 42-0 quickly thereafter, and really the game was decided within the first 10 to 12 minutes, I thought, Jared. And I agree with you about Mountain Point. Just wanted to test that a little bit and maybe play devil's advocate. But certainly, given what they were able to do against Chandler earlier in the season, you have to make Mountain Point the favorite.
You have to think they're the favorite. They're the team to beat. But Chandler definitely proved tonight that they're an improved football team. They beat a very good team 56-7 here tonight. You want to give me a player of the game, a player that stood out to you, maybe someone that you didn't necessarily expect here tonight that stood out?
A game like this is just too lopsided from the jump to really be able to do that.
I'm going to say Jacob Conover at quarterback position based on what I saw from him earlier in the season and even just a few weeks ago against Basha. He looked drastically improved, more poised, and more set in his ways. I'm going to give the nod to him.
It's an easy call, although I was really impressed with him in the game that I happened to call earlier in the year, but certainly you could not go wrong with that pick.
Chris, appreciate it. Good time.
Enjoyed being with you. Enjoyed covering the game.
Again, the final, Chandler knocks off Brophy 56-7. Brophy, that was their last regular season game. They await their playoff fate. And as for the Chandler Wolves, they are section champs as of right now. If Perry can hold on and beat Hamilton, and Chandler will play those Hamilton Huskies in the Battle of Arizona next week. Again, that's Chris. I'm Jared signing off. Special thanks to the Chandler High School video production team for putting on this great broadcast. Special thanks to them and to you for tuning in. Have a great night.